There's a moment in some marriages that almost no one notices. It's not loud, it's not dramatic, it doesn't come with a packed suitcase or a final goodbye. It comes quietly. It's the moment a good husband stops trying. Not because he stopped loving her, not because he found someone else, not because he suddenly became cold, but because something inside him slowly shut down. And what most people miss is this. Good men don't stop trying all at once. They stop trying piece by piece. In the beginning, he was different. He planned things. He initiated conversations. He reached for her hand first. He tried to fix problems before they grew. He cared about how she felt. He cared about how he sounded. He cared about keeping the connection alive. If there was distance, he noticed it. If there was tension, he tried to solve it. If she seemed unhappy, he asked why. Because to him, marriage wasn't just a commitment. It was something to protect, something to nurture, something to fight for. But over time, something shifted. It didn't start with a huge betrayal. It started with small patterns. Every disagreement slowly turned into criticism. Every attempt to explain himself turned into an argument. Every mistake became proof that he wasn't enough. At first, he defended himself. Then he explained himself. Then he over-explained himself. And eventually, he stopped explaining. Because when a man feels like he's always on trial in his own home, something inside him hardens. Not with anger, with fatigue. Good husbands don't mind effort. They don't mind responsibility. They don't mind pressure. Most of them are wired for it. They provide. They solve problems. They show up. But what slowly drains them is not effort. It's feeling unappreciated. It's feeling unseen. It's feeling like no matter how much they do, it's never quite enough. So they try harder. For a while, they adjust their tone. One of the biggest myths about men is that they don't need emotional safety. They do. They may not always express it the same way, but they need to feel respected. They need to feel wanted. They need to feel like their presence matters. When those things slowly disappear, so does their motivation. Not immediately, but gradually. A man who once pursued his wife begins to hesitate. A man who once complimented her daily becomes quieter. A man who once reached for her at night starts turning to his side of the bed. Not out of punishment, out of protection. Because repeated rejection doesn't just hurt. It reshapes behavior. There's something deeply discouraging about trying to love someone who seems perpetually dissatisfied with you. He fixes what's broken around the house. But what about what's broken between them? He brings stability. But where is the warmth? He remains loyal. But where is the appreciation? When a good husband feels like his efforts are invisible, he starts asking himself a dangerous question. What's the point? Not in a dramatic way, in a tired way. And tired men don't fight the same way passionate men do. At some point, he realizes something. Every time he brings up his feelings, it becomes a bigger conflict. Every time he tries to reconnect, it feels forced. Every time he tries to express hurt, it gets minimized. So he adapts. He becomes less expressive, less vulnerable, less emotionally available. From the outside, it may look like maturity, like calmness. And then comes the most dangerous phase. Comfortable distance. There are fewer arguments now, fewer emotional conversations, fewer attempts at deep connection. The house feels calmer. The routine feels stable, but something is missing. Passion is replaced with politeness. Intimacy is replaced with habit. He still pays the bills. He still shows up to family events. He still fulfills his responsibilities, but emotionally, he's no longer leaning in. He's just maintaining. Many women say he changed. And they're right. He did. A change is usually a response, not a random transformation. He became quieter after being dismissed. He became guarded after being criticized. He became distant after feeling unwanted. Slowly, quietly, over time. That's how good husbands stop trying. Not in rebellion, in exhaustion. There's a specific kind of exhaustion that doesn't show on the surface. It doesn't look like rage. It doesn't look like collapse. It looks like indifference. But indifference is often just hurt that learned how to stay silent. He stops planning date nights, not because he doesn't love her, but because the last few felt unappreciated. He stops initiating deep talks because the last ones turned into blame sessions. He stops reaching out physically because rejection has a memory, and memory shapes behavior. Good men don't always announce when they're done trying. They just slowly adjust their expectations. They expect less affection, less understanding, less emotional reciprocity. And when expectations shrink, so does disappointment. It's peaceful, but it's also lonely. And lonely peace is still loneliness. Some men cope by throwing themselves into work, others into hobbies, some into the gym, some into silence. Because in those spaces, effort equals results. In marriage, when effort feels constantly criticized, a man will redirect that effort somewhere safer. Not because he wants distance, but because he wants relief. The tragedy is that by the time it becomes obvious he stopped trying, he's already emotionally adjusted. He no longer expects romance. He no longer expects appreciation. He no longer expects to be deeply understood. He has accepted the version of the relationship that exists. And once acceptance replaces hope, it's very hard to reignite effort. Because effort requires belief. Belief that it matters. Belief that it will be received. Belief that it will be respected. This isn't about blaming women. It's about understanding a pattern. Good husbands don't stop loving first. They stop believing their love is making a difference. And when belief fades, effort follows. Quietly. Slowly. Until one day, both people realize something important was lost. Not love, but the willingness to keep fighting for it.